Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is John Rose, and today is June 1st, 2019. It is my 29th raw food anniversary. I've been on the raw food heroes journey now for 29 years, and when you're on the heroes journey, you're always gathering knowledge and data. And in today's video, I'm going to share some of the information I've gathered, and I've already done videos on this. I'm not sure how much detail I'm going to go into each topic because I've already done videos, and I'll put a link down below to make sure you can access those videos. But I'm going to share some of the ways that we can group people and analyze people to be more effective on the hero's journey. Excuse me. So there are 6 main things we're going to look at today. One is the 4 stages of spirituality. Then we got 3 waves of heroes. Then we have a raw vegan survey where people can be grouped into 4 main groups and 17 altogether. Then we got that Personalysis profile that I talk about. Done already 12 videos on that. And that's going to tie into the performance equation and Bernoulli's formula. And again, this is a way we can group people to help understand how to be more effective on the hero's journey so we can reach the tipping point, put an end to this needless suffering on this planet. And we're going to work backwards on this. Let's start with Bernoulli's formula. Keeping in mind, I've already done a video on this. Bernoulli's formula states that the expected value of doing something equals the value of doing it times the odds of doing it. Interesting equation, isn't it? Times the odds of doing it. Oh, I can never do that. Just shooting yourself in the foot when you say something like that. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. If you don't think you can do something, what's the value of doing it? 0. Anytime you multiply anything times 0, it's a big fat 0. Of course, the biggest problem that we face is that we don't have this knowledge. We don't have the true value of what a solid food vacation would do for us. We don't really understand the value of if everyone adopted a raw vegan diet and we stopped making those 5 big mistakes I talk about in all my other videos based on the 5 things we mastered and applied to our food. So Bernoulli's formula right off the bat, folks, if people don't see any value in this, if they don't understand it, then they're not going to think it has much value. And then if they don't think they can do it, again, they're not going to see any value of doing it. That's why I say over and over in my videos, you got to test an idea as time has come, because most of us, or all of us really, are not in a position to evaluate what we're doing and what we need to do until we've done it. Once we've done it, then we're in a position. We understand a little bit better about what it's about. Of course, we have to realize that the true benefits aren't going to work until all of us adopt this way of life. So the Bernoulli's formula can help us understand why people struggle so much. And maybe we can help them not shoot themselves in the foot, and then understand the real value of doing this by sharing your experience. Next up, we got the performance equation. Our performance equals ableness times willingness. Think about it, the more willing and able we are, but we're going to do it anything, right? Now, this performance equation ties into the Personalysis profile that I've talked about before, this questionnaire, this amazing management tool that's used, that's based on quantum physics. And it's absolutely brilliant. I've done a dozen videos on this subject. I won't go into much detail here, except how it relates to the performance equation. Because we have ableness and willingness. Now, ability is knowledge and skill. Skill is applied knowledge, but we also have mental and physical dexterity. Some people might not desire to do certain things like think, but their brain's so powerful, what little bit they think, it's more powerful than the person who thinks all the time and they ain't got a very big brain. If you understand what I'm saying. But the big multiplier here is the willingness factor, our attitude. And attitude strikes twice, folks. And I've done a video, again I'll put a link down below, where I came up with a mathematical equation to solve our problems. And it's based on the ultimate schematic, that special teaching tool I created where I identified all the piece number, all the most important pieces of the puzzle with piece numbers. So now I can put those piece numbers into the equation and use the performance equation to solve our problems. Ability is huge, folks. We don't have knowledge of how to live. But when you look at the performance equation, we have ableness limited by the roadblocks or the opportunity to perform. And then that's going to be multiplied times our willingness to perform. So attitude is everything. Our attitude about even searching for information. But then once we have it, are we going to apply it? And if we are we going to like doing it? So when we look at this performance equation, those willingness factors, our attitude is huge. And again, this is used in that personality test that breaks people up into 4 main personality traits. Reds act, yellows talk, blues think, greens analyze. There's a little quadrant system going here. And then these 4 personality traits combine to form 6 main modes. Actors and talkers are extroverts, thinkers and analyzers are introverts. Got 2 more pairs of polar opposites here, the divergent personalities, the convergent personalities, and the blue-reds, red-blues, those are individualists, and then the yellow-greens, those are conformists. Go to my other videos if you want to learn more about that. It's a very important tool to avoid conflict in life if you want to understand relationships better. It's important to understand that we all perceive the world differently, so we can group people into those main groups. And then when we have those 4 traits that make the 6 personality modes, those can be reflected in 3 main situations, where our ego, or id, or superego are like to, ought to, and need to. So this ties into the willingness equation. So the way this personality test would be used in business is to make sure that if you like acting and talking, if you're an extrovert, then you should do a job that has those traits, you see. You might have 2 people with the same education, the same IQ, the same ability, they got the same years experience, their ability part of that equation is the same, but then that willingness part, you're going to multiply it times the willingness. How willing are they to do that? Well, if they're an introvert, they don't want to go out there and be dealing with the public or talking to people. So that's a huge part of the equation for the performance equation. And again, this is important to understand because I'm trying to come up with my own formula, Rose's formula, to try to figure out how to spot people and put them in the right place to make sure I don't waste my time with certain people, or to simply understand them better. And the performance equation, I guess I'll leave it at this. The big key to our performance is always going to be the ability side of the equation. We're lacking the knowledge of how to live. And then that ties back into the very next thing I wanted to talk about, this raw vegan survey I came up with, where I wanted to take a look at the 2 biggest obstacles we face as a species. And that has to do with our belief system and the problems of knowledge. So we don't have knowledge of how to live on one side, but then we have all these problems of knowledge, especially the dark side of our behavior. So this raw vegan survey, I called it, can be used for everybody, but I made it specifically for raw vegans because there's 2 points that we need to understand here. We need to have the knowledge of how to live, which is where the raw vegan lifestyle comes into play. But then we have people who are suppressing this knowledge, the darkest of the dark side of our behavior. So when we look at my special teaching tool, the video that will be published today, that I taped 2 days ago, celebrating my 29th anniversary, I went into a lot of detail about escaping the matrix of evil, where there's 4 main allegories, and they all talk about the first 3 pieces of the puzzle. So the raw vegan survey talks about the first piece and the third piece. Second piece is false knowledge. As I mentioned in my video that we published today, long ago Socrates said the problem of knowledge is the key to all of our problems. I've come up with 21 main problems of knowledge and 55 total problems of knowledge. There's 2 sources of false knowledge, 2 sources of false knowledge, 2 forms of ignorance, there's 12 sources of false knowledge, and 7 willingness factors. And the number 1 source for false knowledge, that's piece number 3. So the raw vegan survey looks at piece number 1, the knowledge of how to live, and piece number 3, the dark side of our behavior. And I group people into 17 main groups that can actually be grouped into 4 main groups. And I'll put a link down below to this video. And the main point of this is out of those 17 main groups, only 7 of them are capable of joining the hero's journey. And that's the next story I want to talk about. There's 3 main waves of heroes. And my whole channel is about the first wave of heroes. Now, this is important to understand on the hero's journey because most people aren't ready for this message, darn it. But everyone has the potential to be a trim tab to society, to turn this planet around simply by testing an idea as time has come so you can see what you're missing. Remember, most of us have no idea what we're missing. We're making 5 main mistakes. If we correct those on a temporary basis by taking that solid food vacation, we can take our life to another level, and then we can realize what life is all about. Now, when it comes to the 3 ways of heroes, I guess the point here is that just like out of the 17 groups that know about pieces 1 and 3, either they know, they don't know, they want to know, they're capable of knowing. I'll go into that in more detail. Just like the same thing, those last 2 are like the other 10. Remember, out of the 17 groups, only 7 are going to be capable of joining the hero's journey. So 10 are not. The 3 ways of heroes, those other 2, the ones who don't have the ears to hear to join the hero's journey, they also won't be suspects, or candidates rather, for the hero's journey. And of course, the very first thing I started with was the 4 stages of spirituality, according to M. Scott Peck. I won't go into a whole lot of detail here. I've done a video, I'll put a link down below. 4 main stages. The only thing we need to understand is that first stage. That's what M. Scott Peck labeled chaotic, antisocial. They have 0 spirituality. They have an unharnessed will. They do whatever they want. These are the thugs on this planet. We run across them all the time. So it's really nice when you can identify someone as a big fat 0 or the first stage of knowledge. Their life is chaotic. These are bad people. And you see them all the time. You see them on the comment sections everywhere you go. They're hurting. They're in pain. Their life is chaotic. Most of the negative comments you see on YouTube channels are coming from people from that first stage of spirituality. They don't understand the oneness of everything. Very quickly, first stage goes to the second stage. That's the institutionalized. That's where an institution comes along and gives the order that the people in stage 1 don't have, the chaos. Then from stage 2 you go to the skeptic, the atheists and agnostics, and finally to stage 4 we have the mystical communal. Again, I explained that in more detail in my other videos. So I'm going to keep this video very short. And I've been working on this for about a month or so. I'm letting it incubate right now. I want to come up with my own formula, Rose's formula for spotting assholes. Is that what I should call it? No, not everybody's an asshole. They can't help it. Everybody's got a great excuse, I tell you all the time, for doing the stupid things they do. That's why I have to remind myself all the time, be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a great battle. Society attacked early when we're helpless. Our brains have been bombarded with so much bullshit that we literally are brain dead on so many subjects. It's outright frightening. And of course, if we go back to the Raw Vegan Survey, the main purpose of that Raw Vegan Survey was to illustrate or demonstrate how denial works. Because that study was based on, do you have the knowledge or do you not have it? And if you don't have it, do you want it? A lot of people don't even care. They don't want to know. Those that do, some aren't capable. And this goes back to a study published on October 9th, 2011 called Unrealistic Optimism, where people literally shut their frontal lobes off and have a mental processing error. It's how they go into denial. So when you're on the hero's journey, you can spot this all the time. I remember when that survey first came out, I got so excited. I knew there was something going on when I was talking to people. There was something going on. I couldn't put my finger on it. But then as soon as I heard this, I go, I know exactly what it was. I know the expression. I understand it now because I see it happen in real time now. It's so exciting I say exciting, but to be aware that people are just shutting their brain off. At least you understand what we're up against. And that's the biggest obstacle, I think, on the hero's journey. Addictions, denial, most people don't want to know. Our reason is the servant of desire. That's why the decision is always the hardest part of any journey. And that's why every video I do is to help you guys take that first step. Test an idea as time has come. See for yourself what you're missing. Take your life to another level. As Aristotle said, the mark of an intelligent mind is the ability to entertain a thought without accepting it. Let's consider the possibility that we're making 5 mistakes and let's correct them on a temporary basis. That's what the solid food vacation does. Once you do this and go the distance, you're going to have an aha moment. Now you're going to be in a better position to reevaluate those 5 mistakes. No guarantee you're not going to get hooked on them and not want to give them up. Because as long as you're made of them, you're going to crave them. That's why this is a learning experience. So you got to get excited, folks. You got to realize how much power and control we have. And when you're on the hero's journey, 5 main stages. First step, you have the ears to hear. Second, I accept the mission. I'll test an idea as time has come. Then that's where you gather knowledge and allies, and that's what I'm doing today is I'm sharing the knowledge I've gathered. You have to understand the obstacles. Remember, there's 2 main obstacles. false knowledge, our belief system, not having the knowledge we need, but then we got that dark side of our behavior. That too. And once you understand that, folks, it helps you much better to take the very last step, and that's to share the message. Of all these 5 things we do, once we get going, again, we got to gather the knowledge, we have to first test it, then gather the knowledge, and we have to understand the obstacles, but we got to share this message. It's so important, folks. And I want to thank everyone once again for all the great comments on my YouTube channel, for giving me a thumbs up, for sharing this message, helping my channel grow. I'm convinced that if my channel could grow, this planet can transform. It's all about making this planet better. It's all about helping us understand that we are all one. And we can't intellectualize about that. We've got to take a solid food vacation and flush out that cesspool that's within our pipes. We've got to bump up the coherent sunlight energy that we store in the nucleus of our cells so we can feel one with everything. Because that's what we're missing. That's why we struggle. It's really quite simple. And it's fun to be on the hero's journey. It's fun to gather knowledge. It's fun to be able to understand where people are at so you can help them better. It's fun to learn and grow and make the world better. And again, that's what my channel is all about. And I want to once again thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for all the great comments. I know a lot of you guys are suffering out there. You're in pain. People aren't mean unless they're hurting. I understand that. So all the rest of you guys, be careful. Attitudes are contagious. These people are hurting their disease. Don't catch their disease. Be kind. They're suffering. They're having a very tough battle in life. We all are. But if you want to make this journey better, get on the hero's journey. When you get on the hero's journey, I guarantee you, you're in for a treat.